All right, so this is my week 4 final exam screencast for our Contacts Manager app. So this week we had to put everything that we learned together for our project assignment. It's basically a CRUD application, and it does a Contacts Manager. You're supposed to add a client, display that client, edit the client, delete it, and then each one of them is supposed to have like a message come up. Like it says here, flash a success message on the next page. Now, next page, I don't have any next pages. I did this all using Bootstrap with a modal window. Bootstrap is something that I'm not really that familiar with, and I definitely wanted to get my nose into it a little bit, so this is kind of new for me with Bootstrap, but really enjoyed the Bootstrap part of it. Had a little bit of trouble getting everything to work with the single page application just because of the submit part of it, but I'll explain that a little bit as I get into stuff. So just wanted to go over the actual application here. So Client Manager app, and kind of like you had, I'm doing the same thing, but this is going to be a modal window. So let's go ahead and add somebody. Let's go Joe Buck or something like that. And an example of me that works for me, and then I put this in here, but you can put whatever you'd like in here. I'm just going to use my website. Always good to get pub. So there's the client success tag. So that is the add. Like I said, you can go in here and you can add the client. Nice modal window, client directory, add a client. So next is the update. Let's go ahead and update one. So Mary had a little lamb. So here's update client directory. Again, modal window. And let's just change this to 4. And let's actually take out haddock so it's easier to see. We'll update it. Your edit was success, and there's a 4 and Mary Little Lamb. So next we'll go and delete it, and you wanted a pop-up window, so we have a pop-up window there as well. You can cancel it if you don't want to, and you can make it delete, and then the delete success message. So there's a pretty successful application there using Bootstrap, which is definitely a really neat, I don't know what you want to call it, a library, or either way, it's pretty neat having Bootstrap to deal with. Now I'll go into a little bit of the code. So like I said, this is a single page application. You kind of saw that. Using the messages. Session is definitely something that I'm going to look into more. That was a very interesting part of this week. The session and cookies is very interesting. Being able to identify your users all the time. So first thing we did here is start the session, and then if there is a session in any one of these, we will display the message. Now I went ahead and display the message again a little bit later, and I'll show you that as I get. Actually, I'll show you right now. Just because if it is there already, if you're adding the user, I want it to be able to display, because this has already run. So either way, we established a database just like all the other weeks, using the try catch here. If it has an error, I go ahead and throw that error out. Then if server request method, so if it's post, and this is kind of where I struggled. I really like this now. I know I put in here a couple weeks ago, alternatively to use this, and that the server, the global variable there is definitely the one that you want to be using, and I'll tell you why. Basically, with this single page application, there's 2 submit buttons. So what it was doing is going back to the very first one, so I was having a hard time to get everything updated. So I'll get into that when I go there. But same thing as last week, we just changed the variable names a little bit, and then added the session. So if your client is successful, you're there. Query to make sure that there's no duplicates, first name, last name. Put that through, change the color so you'll display the error here with the H1 right on the top of the page. Then I'm going to check, this is the if statement, if there's any rows in there, you got a duplicate message, you're going to display that. Okay, puts you into the insert, If you insert, you were successful, and then it'll print off to the page. So just some CSS in here. I didn't do my own file just because I was using Bootstrap. So here's the Bootstrap loaded dynamically container, and if you've used Bootstrap, I'm sure you have. This is just the names for that. Now here's the modal duplicate message. So this is inside of the modal itself if there's a duplicate. So simple form, autofocus required for everything. As it goes through, you click this add button, you go. Now here's where the existing clients are made. This is completely dynamic as you go into that file. All these are made dynamically. The whole container is made. So that's kind of neat. As I go through, I do the for each from the prepare. I do the for each to run all the way through it and display the names of the rows from result as row. Here's the start of the modal. So after that dynamic section, this is also dynamic inside of here, and this is going to be coming from update.php. So update.php also comes to this page, but when you're clicking the submit on a modal window, it's still considered onto that client's page. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. So say I go onto this and I'm updating. Well, I'm at clients.php. So when I'm updating this, what it was doing is firing on the clients.php and not the update. So because of the fact that I had a just submit, this one right here, if post submit, if post submit, but there's two submits. So that's when I went ahead and I changed it to this and then had no problems from then on. So with that being said, let's get back to that section. Yeah, so here's the modal, and it's created, like I said, dynamically, and I'll get into update in a second. And I just kind of use the same jQuery as you had in there. It's a simple jQuery, and no need to change it to do anything else. Here I tried to use the ID, and that wasn't working, so I'm not going to mess around with it. It worked with a class, so I kept it with a class. So let's talk about this dynamic area, which is the update. So again, session start, that way I can use any of the session variables, creating a database, doing the SQL, and then right here's where I had the problem. So that problem was with this, so changed it out, didn't have any problems after that. Doing the update here, changed some stuff on that. I was forgetting to put the ID in where ID was, so I had some trouble with that, but finally got it. But again, you're doing the session here and the message, and that's how this is able to display the message right here. And I do a little bit with CSS on this page to change that message around. Besides that, update client, this is where the actual form is made. So this part of it is, when I update, that's making this form that's already filled out. Alright, so it takes that index number right here of the result. Did I run through that? Takes the index number of the result and puts it in dynamically into each one of these values. So besides that, delete was pretty similar to last week, throwing it back to a header. Not really much to explain onto the delete side of it, but a lot of stuff going on this week, a lot of different things. I kind of wish I would have went a little bit farther into the Bootstrap, but it was interesting trying to learn Bootstrap at the same time of doing the PHP. I've dealt with Bootstrap a bit before, but not in this format. The panel stuff kind of got me a little bit, and I don't know. I'll optimize, with the ADIO production model, I guess, in the future a little bit more. So I might put a background image here and spread this out a little bit. But overall, I think it turned out pretty good, and it's definitely a nice looking page, I think, and clients are able to add in there. So, oops, I went to the wrong page there. All right, so and just to show you, we can delete. I'll show you there. Was deleted successfully. So, all right, well, that's my screencast for this week. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.